Now you kind of look at them like scoundrels. What won't you do for that damn career? Listen, this is a disgusting business. That's all I'm going to say. This business is so disgusting that I can't. I think that Jay-Z and Beyonce are master manipulators of the media. What is that? Is that a baby bump? I don't know. What the couple found most difficult to deal with, says another source, was the fact that some of the rumors were being perpetuated by people they considered friends, like talk show host Wendy Williams. Well, first of all, I've never partied with them. I've never been to their house. I don't swim in their pool. Like, we're not friends. The stunt left Beyonce angered beyond belief. That means she watches. Fortunately, one of the TVs in our kitchen has closed captioning, so I'll be able to understand what she says. She, you know, Beyonce can't talk. Beyonce sounds like she's got a 5th grade education. She can't talk.
Go detail. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's true is going to be unveiled. And it's not a man. And that woman is screaming.
As speculation broadened beyond that single interview moment, some discussions shifted towards stories about industry insiders and former associates who claimed to have witnessed unusual events at private gatherings. One name that occasionally surfaced in these conversations was a man identified online as Larry Johnson, described in forums as a former acquaintance of Jay-Z. According to unverified anecdotes shared on blogs and video channels, he allegedly spoke about attending a late-night party years ago where he felt the atmosphere was unusual. None of these accounts have been substantiated with documented evidence, yet they continue to circulate because they fit into larger narratives some people already believe. Stories like these illustrate a common pattern in rumor culture. Once a central theory gains traction, additional anecdotes, whether verified or not, are often attached to it. Each new claim is treated by believers as another puzzle piece, even if the source is unclear. Skeptics, meanwhile, point out that without corroboration, such stories remain hearsay. This tug-of-war between belief and doubt is typical in discussions about celebrities, especially those whose careers place them among powerful social circles. The narrative grew louder when singer Jaguar Wright began speaking publicly in interviews about alleged industry practices she claimed to have witnessed. During one widely discussed television appearance with Piers Morgan, she made a series of controversial statements that sparked intense reactions online. Clips from that interview spread rapidly, with viewers debating her credibility and motivations. Some praised her for speaking candidly, while others argued that extraordinary claims require equally strong proof. Moments like that highlight how media appearances can act as accelerants for rumors. When statements are delivered on a major platform rather than an obscure blog, they immediately reach a much wider audience. That visibility can make the claims feel more authoritative, even if they have not been independently verified. Analysts often note that presentation, lighting, studio setting, interviewer tone can influence how believable a statement seems to viewers. Another factor is the emotional tone of such interviews. Passionate delivery can make allegations sound more convincing, while calm skepticism from an interviewer can either challenge or legitimize the narrative depending on how it is framed. In this case, reactions varied widely, demonstrating how subjective perception can be.
Jealous of Adele. Beyonce. I do, in my mind, believe that Beyonce is very controlling regarding her image. Like, very controlling. Beyonce, what planet do you live on? You can't ban cameras. Everybody's got cell phones with cameras. Respect that. Bow down, B words. You know, a few weeks ago, she was singing at the inauguration. Then she was performing at the Super Bowl. We celebrate. You're on a Pepsi can, for goodness sakes, to tell B words to bow down. And then you're saying girls run the world. Beyonce feels overshadowed by Adele. And knows that she can't compete.
All of these conversations together have created a moment that feels bigger than a typical celebrity news cycle. It is not simply about one rumor or one resurfaced interview. It is about the convergence of years' worth of speculation, commentary, blind items, and archived footage suddenly gaining traction at the same time. When multiple strands of discussion appear to point in a similar direction, even if none are verified, they can create a sense of momentum that draws in more observers. In this environment, Wendy Williams' past statements are being reevaluated through a new lens. Clips that once circulated briefly and disappeared are now being reposted with captions suggesting she may have been hinting at larger stories. Supporters argue that her willingness to speak openly about celebrities set her apart from more cautious commentators. Critics counter that boldness does not equal accuracy and that repeating unverified claims can contribute to misinformation. The renewed debate over her legacy reflects broader questions about the role of gossip media in shaping public perception. The current wave of attention also highlights how digital culture preserves everything. Unlike earlier eras, when television segments might fade into obscurity, today's online archives allow old footage to resurface instantly. A comment made years ago can return to prominence overnight if it aligns with current trending topics. This permanence means public figures are often judged not only by what they say now, but by everything they have ever said. Another reason the moment feels so intense is the speed at which narratives evolve online. A single post can spark thousands of responses within minutes, each adding interpretations, opinions, or new claims. Some of those additions may be accurate, others speculative, and distinguishing between them requires careful verification. Yet many viewers encounter these stories in rapid succession, making it difficult to separate confirmed facts from conjecture. What stands out most is how perception can shift over time. Statements once dismissed as outrageous may later be reconsidered simply because circumstances change or new rumors appear. That does not necessarily mean the statements were correct. It means the context surrounding them has evolved. Ultimately, the situation illustrates how modern celebrity discourse operates less like a straight line and more like a cycle. Old commentary resurfaces, new speculation emerges, and audiences reinterpret everything through the lens of the present moment. Whether any of these discussions lead to verified revelations remains uncertain. For now, what is clear is that the conversation itself, fueled by curiosity, skepticism, and the internet's endless memory, shows no sign of slowing down.
What the hell would Jay-Z be doing with Harvey Weinstein and Attorney General William Barr in 1996? That was the year his first album came out. Do you really think Pusha T in 2007 was hanging around Harvey Weinstein and was one of the victim's handlers? In the Eminem story, the woman describes how she weighs 300 pounds. This is her words, not mine. She says this in the report. She weighs 300 pounds, so a video of her would be easy to find. And in the Eminem story, she said when she woke up, she saw someone recording with a phone, and she thinks it was Diddy. Okay? These are public hotline submissions. The tips itself don't...
Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein were just named in the files. What the hell is going on?
Talk with Drake and you told him to no longer respond to Pusha T.
I saw this going in a place that I feel would have ended his career if Drake would have put out the song that he had on him, and definitely would have hurt families, and you know what I mean, and we not in it for that. You know what I mean? That's not Drake character.
While conversations about past figures continued circulating, another strand of discussion began focusing on alleged private gatherings attended by high-profile celebrities. Online commentators described stories about exclusive late-night events where only a small inner circle remained after most guests left. These accounts, which have not been independently verified, were often framed as glimpses into the hidden social world of influential entertainers. Because such settings are inherently private, they tend to invite speculation. When details are scarce, imagination often fills the gaps. One reason these stories gain traction is that exclusivity itself can sound mysterious. The idea that only a select few individuals were allowed to stay while others were dismissed can be interpreted in many ways. Some see it as standard celebrity networking, while others view it as evidence of secretive behavior. Without documentation, there is no reliable way to determine which interpretation is accurate, yet the ambiguity is precisely what keeps people talking. In several online discussions, commentators referenced interviews in which artists described attending gatherings hosted by powerful industry figures. According to those retellings, the atmosphere at such events could shift once the crowd thinned, creating an impression that something significant might be happening behind closed doors. However, impressions are not proof, and personal anecdotes can be shaped by memory, perception, or storytelling style. Media researchers frequently caution that eyewitness descriptions, especially when shared long after the fact, should be evaluated carefully. Another factor that amplifies these narratives is the concept of status. People are often fascinated by the social dynamics of fame, who interacts with whom, who is invited where, and who appears to hold influence. Stories suggesting that certain celebrities were present at exclusive gatherings can therefore spark intense curiosity, even if no wrongdoing is implied or proven. The intrigue lies not necessarily in what happened, but in the possibility that something unusual might have happened. As these discussions spread, they often merge with unrelated rumors, creating a larger web of speculation. A story about a party might be linked to an old interview, which is then connected to a resurfaced clip, forming a chain of associations that feels cohesive even if each link lacks verification. This process demonstrates how narratives can grow more elaborate over time, shaped by collective interpretation rather than confirmed facts. What's most striking is how quickly such stories can escalate. Within days, a single anecdote can evolve into a widely discussed theory, complete with timelines, diagrams, and analysis videos. The speed of that transformation reflects the power of online platforms to amplify curiosity into full-scale discourse. At this stage, the conversation has clearly moved beyond any single claim or individual. It has become a broader exploration of fame, influence, secrecy, and perception. Whether any of these stories ultimately lead to verified revelations remains uncertain. For now, they function primarily as conversation pieces, examples of how modern audiences piece together fragments of information in search of a larger narrative.
Like the one that claims Jay-Z allegedly cheated on Beyonce with Kathy Coriana White. Now, Coriana, I'm not going to read this because I knew Coriana. I've met Coriana many times, and I've been around her because I met her through Claudia Jordan. Claudia recently has spoken out about it. Well, there was this whole allegation that Jay-Z had this relationship with Coriana, and Coriana was literally young, vibrant. She appeared to be healthy, and then one day she just, and it became a big thing because when you know somebody who's young and vibrant, all of a sudden out of nowhere, just people start to speculate. Well, she at the age of 28 in 2011 of an aneurysm. Well, for years, Jaguar Wright has claimed that Kathy was Jay-Z's pregnant mistress who mysteriously 24 hours after allegedly claiming to tell the world of their secret child. Now, I can tell you firsthand, I don't know anything about that. And Jaguar Wright may or may not know stuff. It seems like Jaguar Wright knows everything. But it also goes back to, like, if people knew of things, why they don't call the police or have people arrested. I don't know.
Just wanted to tell you, it's not your fault. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. What happened to Kathy is not your fault. It's not.
You're gonna make me cry. I have felt the guilt.
No, I'm telling you. It's not your fault.
Guilty.
It's not your fault.
If I had any idea,
You were doing your job.
As the online narrative continued expanding, some commentators began revisiting long-standing rumors about late R&B star Aaliyah, whose tragic death in a 2001 plane crash has been the subject of speculation for years. Official investigations concluded that the crash resulted from an overloaded aircraft and pilot issues, yet conspiracy theories have persisted despite those findings. In celebrity rumor culture, tragedies often become focal points for alternative explanations because people struggle to accept sudden loss without searching for hidden causes. In certain corners of the internet, unverified claims resurface suggesting that Aaliyah's passing somehow cleared a path for other artists' success. There is no credible evidence supporting that idea, and reputable sources have consistently treated it as speculation. Still, the theory has circulated for years, largely because it fits into a broader narrative some online communities promote about competition within the music industry. Psychologists who study rumor formation note that people sometimes construct cause and effect relationships even when events are unrelated, simply because the timing appears coincidental. Discussions about Aaliyah's life also often reference her past association with R. Kelly, which has been widely documented and reported. Some commentators claim that after that chapter ended, other prominent figures allegedly showed romantic interest in her. One person who has spoken publicly about such matters is Dame Dash, who shared anecdotes in interviews describing competition for her attention. His recollections, like many personal stories, represent individual perspective rather than verified historical record. What keeps these topics alive is the emotional weight attached to them. Aaliyah remains deeply admired, and any conversation about her life or death tends to generate strong reactions. Admirers want to protect her legacy, skeptics want to challenge rumors, and theorists want to uncover hidden truths. The intersection of those motivations can create intense debate, even decades after the events in question. Another element that sustains such speculation is the way online platforms resurface old interviews and quotes. A comment made years ago can suddenly trend again if it aligns with current discussions. When that happens, it can feel as though a new revelation has emerged, even though the information has been public for a long time. The continued circulation of these theories demonstrates how narratives evolve through repetition. Each retelling can subtly change details, emphasizing certain aspects while downplaying others. Over time, the story that spreads may differ significantly from the original account. That is why media literacy experts stress the importance of verifying sources and distinguishing between first-hand evidence and second-hand interpretation. In this context, the renewed focus on Aaliyah's story says as much about modern internet culture as it does about past events. It reveals how easily historical moments can be re-examined through speculative lenses, especially when they involve beloved figures whose lives ended too soon.
Go detailed. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's truth is going to be unveiled. And it's not a man. And that woman is screaming.
Speculation surged again when listeners began dissecting Beyoncé's 2024 track, Daughter, interpreting certain lyrics as symbolic references to past rumors. Some online commentators suggested the song contained hidden meanings tied to long-circulating theories about Kathy White. These interpretations spread quickly through reaction channels and lyric analysis threads, with users highlighting lines they believed hinted at coded messages. However, there is no confirmed proof that the song references any real-life individual or incident, and music analysts often caution that interpreting lyrics literally can be misleading because songwriting frequently relies on metaphor and storytelling rather than autobiography. The phenomenon of fans searching for hidden messages in songs is not new. For decades, audiences have tried to decode lyrics, convinced they contain secret confessions or clues about artists' private lives. In many cases, artists themselves later explain that such interpretations were unintended. Still, the speculation can take on a life of its own, especially when it intersects with existing rumors. In Beyoncé's case, her reputation for carefully crafted visuals and layered symbolism in past projects has encouraged listeners to look for deeper meaning in her work, sometimes reading more into lines than the artist ever intended. Online communities dedicated to celebrity analysis often function like collaborative investigations. Participants share screenshots, timestamps, and side-by-side comparisons, attempting to connect dots across years of interviews, performances, and public appearances. While this can be entertaining for fans, it can also blur the line between creative interpretation and factual assertion. Without reliable evidence, such conclusions remain theories rather than verified information. Another reason these discussions spread so rapidly is the emotional investment many people feel towards celebrities they admire or follow closely. When a rumor surfaces, supporters may rush to defend the figure, while critics may treat the same rumor as confirmation of suspicions. The result is a polarized conversation in which speculation can appear more substantial than it actually is. Media scholars often describe this pattern as a feedback loop. A rumor gains attention, prompting more people to search for supporting details. Those searches produce interpretations that are then shared as if they were new findings, which in turn attract more viewers. Over time, repetition can create the illusion of credibility even when no new evidence has emerged. In this case, the renewed focus on Beyoncé's music illustrates how easily artistic expression can become intertwined with public narrative. A single lyric, once highlighted and repeated enough times, can be transformed into supposed proof of something much larger. Whether those interpretations hold any truth is another matter entirely, but their spread demonstrates the powerful role that audience perception plays in shaping celebrity discourse.
Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album.
I love that one.
It's potentially a murder confession about Jay-Z's mistress, Kathy White.
Show him the tape, Diddy. You got it.
Oh, man.
That might buy you a little time. You should probably stop looking for plastic surgeons.
For some observers, seeing Jay-Z's name tied to controversy was not entirely surprising, largely because of his long-standing associations with powerful figures across entertainment, business, and culture. However, online discussion intensified dramatically when posts began claiming that Beyoncé's name appeared alongside his in supposed lists connected to ongoing rumors. None of those lists have been authenticated by officials, and no formal confirmation has been issued by the Department of Justice or any court. Still, the alleged connection prompted internet users to revisit years of speculation, revisiting archived interviews and commentary from the past. This renewed curiosity is one reason Wendy Williams' old remarks resurfaced so prominently. More than a decade ago, she publicly questioned aspects of Beyoncé's personal life during a broadcast segment that sparked immediate backlash. At the time, mainstream outlets largely ignored the topic, considering it rumor-driven gossip rather than credible reporting. Yet now, with fresh speculation circulating, some online commentators are re-examining that moment and debating whether her willingness to voice controversial theories reflected boldness or recklessness. One rumor that has reappeared involves a woman named Kathy White, who internet discussions have described as someone allegedly close to Jay-Z years ago. Certain online theories, again, and proven claim she may have acted as a surrogate while Beyoncé publicly presented herself as pregnant with her daughter Blue Ivy. There has never been verified evidence supporting that claim, and it has consistently been treated by reputable sources as speculation rather than fact. Nevertheless, the story continues to circulate in online communities that analyze celebrity rumors. The persistence of such theories highlights how digital narratives can endure long after they first appear. Once an idea enters public discourse, it can resurface repeatedly, especially if new events seem, even loosely, connected. Psychologists who study rumor psychology often note that people are drawn to stories that appear to reveal hidden truths, particularly when they involve well-known public figures. Another element driving renewed interest is the contrast between past dismissal and present curiosity. When Williams first mentioned these topics, many critics argued she was exaggerating for ratings. Today, some of those same clips are being reinterpreted by viewers who wonder whether she was tapping into conversations that were already happening privately within certain circles. Still, it is crucial to distinguish between speculation and substantiated information. To date, no verified documentation has confirmed the rumors linking Beyoncé to any wrongdoing, and she has not been charged with any crime related to these online claims. The resurgence of discussion, therefore, says more about the dynamics of internet culture than about proven facts. What it shows most clearly is how quickly public perception can shift when old statements collide with new rumors, creating the impression of patterns even when evidence remains unverified.
Must have been a fake baby bump, visually collapsed as she sat down. I admit, that did look weird, but maybe it was a weird camera angle. Or maybe she wears extra padding to keep her due date a secret.
Because of the way that Beyonce's belly folded when she sat down, many believe that there was no way that that was a real baby bump. There was so much speculation about this situation that even Wendy Williams did an experiment with her audience to see if other pregnant women's bellies folded like that when they sat down.
Beyonce recently, like last Sunday, appeared on an Australian show. And when she sat down, the baby bump squashed, bent, and crumpled.
The reason that I bring this up, though, is because if Beyonce and Jay-Z were having a baby via a surrogate, it would be a little odd to announce that they were physically with child.
At this point, the conversation had transformed into something larger than any single rumor or claim. It became a reflection of how modern audiences interact with fame itself. Sociologists often describe celebrity culture as a mirror. The way people talk about public figures can reveal as much about society as it does about the celebrities being discussed. When audiences speculate about hidden motives or secret dynamics, they may actually be expressing broader curiosity about power, success, and influence. One reason these discussions persist is that fame can feel distant and mysterious. Most people only see carefully presented public images of celebrities, performances, interviews, and curated posts. Because those glimpses are limited, they can create a sense that something remains unseen. That sense of incompleteness can spark imagination. People begin to wonder what might exist beyond the visible frame. Digital platforms intensify that feeling by providing endless streams of commentary. Every day, new opinions, analyses, and theories appear. Some are thoughtful and evidence-based, others are purely speculative. Yet all of them contribute to the same environment, a continuous conversation about the hidden side of public life. The constant flow of information can make it difficult to distinguish between verified facts and interpretations. Researchers studying online discourse note that uncertainty often attracts more attention than certainty. A clear, confirmed explanation tends to end discussion, while an unanswered question keeps it going. For that reason, unresolved topics frequently remain popular far longer than resolved ones. People return to them repeatedly, searching for new clues or perspectives. Another important element is community. Online discussions create spaces where participants feel connected through shared curiosity. Even when they disagree, they are still engaging with one another. That interaction can be rewarding in itself, encouraging them to continue exploring the topic together. In this way, the conversation becomes a social experience as well as an informational one. What makes this stage notable is that the focus is no longer on proving or disproving a specific claim. Instead, the attention centers on the process of discussion itself. The narrative has become a living thing, shaped continuously by everyone who talks about it. Each comment, theory, or reaction adds another layer. And that is why such stories rarely fade completely. Even when interest slows, it never disappears. It waits until a new detail, clip, or interview rekindles curiosity, and when that happens, the entire conversation begins again.
For the purpose of ticket sales and money, which is not right. But anyway, Beyonce's pregnancy is a way of keeping Jay-Z's alleged mistress away. Beyonce has been accused of copying before. This is not the first time. Remember the Countdown music video? She was accused of stealing that also. The Single Ladies Dance, she was accusing that. And one of her Lemonade music videos, she's been accused of stealing also. Beyonce, I hope you're not lying. All right, let's move on.
While interviews and viral clips fueled speculation, another powerful driver of these narratives was collaboration culture within the entertainment industry. When major artists work together, fans often analyze their partnerships for deeper meaning. A joint performance, a surprise appearance, or even a social media photo can spark theories about alliances, rivalries, or hidden agreements. In reality, Many collaborations are simply professional decisions, but that doesn't stop audiences from imagining larger stories behind them. Music historians often point out that collaboration has always been part of the industry's foundation. From classic duets to modern cross-genre projects, artists frequently join forces to reach new audiences. Yet in the age of instant analysis, such partnerships sometimes become subjects of speculation. Instead of being viewed purely as creative ventures, they may be interpreted as strategic moves within a complex network of influence. Fans who closely follow chart trends sometimes look for patterns, such as timing of releases or repeated appearances by certain performers at the same events. When patterns appear, they can be interpreted in multiple ways. One person might see coincidence, another might see coordination. The difference often depends on how much meaning someone expects to find. Commentators also note that public fascination tends to increase when collaborations involve artists with strong public personas. Figures known for commanding attention naturally draw more analysis because audiences are already accustomed to watching them closely. Every interaction becomes noteworthy, and every detail becomes material for discussion. Importantly, speculation does not always stem from suspicion. Sometimes it grows simply from enthusiasm. Fans who admire artists deeply often enjoy theorizing about possible connections or future projects. In those cases, the conversation is less about uncovering secrets and more about engaging creatively with the culture surrounding their favorite performers. Still, the same mechanisms that fuel playful theories can also sustain more serious ones. Once audiences become accustomed to analyzing every detail, they may continue doing so even when there is no clear mystery involved. Over time, this habit can blur the boundary between entertainment and investigation. This phase highlights how easily curiosity can expand into elaborate interpretation. A single collaboration can inspire countless explanations, each shaped by the observer's imagination. And as long as people remain interested, those interpretations continue circulating, adding new layers to the ever-growing narrative.